If you are about to retire or have recently retired, you'll recognize how scary it is to make this transition. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 important conversations that you must be having to help you overcome the fear of entering into this next chapter. But before we get there, subscribe to my channel. I have over 30 years in this business, and I want to share with you the conversations I have with my clients so you can benefit from them. The first thing I want to address, it's in addition to the 5 conversations you need to have, is the fact that retirement is a completely different new way of living. And even if you've scripted it and planned it and find that your numbers, your finances are all set and in alignment with your goals, and you believe you can pursue your retirement successfully, it is still a very anxious time. And there are many fears that come to our head that may keep us up at night. And that's what I want to address. Because I think that our industry has done a lousy job of truly preparing you for this transition into retirement. And that's really why I've put this channel together. Now, most of us know or feel the number one fear, which is the fear of outliving our income. In other words, we live too long. But right now, we're in a time where we also have other fears we need to deal with. The impact of inflation. How's that going to impact our income? Our portfolios. My goodness, for many, they are down significantly. What do you do? And how does it impact your ability to pursue those goals? So let's get into it. So what I want to do is to address overall the issues regarding the emotions that we all feel as we make this transition, because we are prompted and we are driven by how we feel about things, and then we make a decision based on how we feel. As we enter into retirement, I'm going to want you to, in essence, divorce those emotions, if at all possible, from the actual planning, from the actual numbers. Because the last thing I want you to do as you make this transition is to panic, is to make decisions that could irrevocably change the course of your retirement in a way that you had not anticipated. So here are the 5 topics to have. In no particular order, but I ordered them for you anyway. We have, as you can see, the income faucet, debt issues, long-term versus short-term investing, planning, and then we'll deal with what I call the really big fear. Let's start off with, because we have that big fear of outliving our income, so we're going to deal with the income faucet, making sure that you have enough money to lead your life both now and later. And what you need to do is really develop the income faucet, which means understanding what your cash flow needs are coming in and what your cash flow needs are that you need on a day-to-day basis. I think one of the things that you need to understand is what we in the industry call the 4% rule. So sometimes the big question is, when it comes to cash flow, is how much income can I get from my portfolio? And remember, I'm not giving you investment advice here. I'm giving you, in essence, issues you need to be aware of, questions you need to be asking so you can be better informed while talking with your planner, or if you're doing it yourself, so you get yourself on the right track. But the industry standard is basically, you can take about 4% from the portfolio if your long-term goal is to try to preserve the asset base and get some income. 4% seems to be a universally accepted number. Maybe a little bit higher or a little bit lower, and you may modify it depending upon time frames. But 4% is the number that you can expect. So in other words, if you had a portfolio of $1 million, as a general rule, A gross number would be taking $40,000 a year from that, or a little over $3,000 a month. So that's something that you need to be thinking about, and the very first thing you need to be dealing with is cash flow. Again, I think our industry's done a lousy job. They just talk about accumulating money, but the real success in retirement is managing the cash flow. Because the more cash we have on hand, the more we're able to pursue our goals, and the better that we are going to feel. Getting back to emotions. The second item is dealing with your debt. Particularly in times of inflation now where rates may be going higher, it's important to understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. And I've talked about that a lot in this channel. Good debt is the lower interest on assets that may be appreciating, like your home potentially, and that may be tax deductible. You may be paying 3, 4, or 5% on that. And it's okay from my perspective to have that kind of debt. Some people just want to be debt free. That's a different story. The debt you really want to attend to and potentially accelerate paying down as you approach retirement would be the credit cards, or that bad debt where you're paying 12, 15, 18% and it's not deductible and it's on a depreciating asset like a car. So you really need to tend to the debt issues, because studies do show the higher the debt, the less satisfaction many people express because it has such an impact on their day-to-day cash flow. So deal with those debt issues. The third item you really need to deal with is investing in the portfolio, and we've spent a lot of time on this channel talking about that, but particularly in times like this right here, where your portfolio may be down and you're thinking about retiring, and you may think, oh gosh, I can't retire now. Many still are. Or you've just recently retired and, oh my goodness, what's the impact on my income as a result of down markets? You need to think about investing in a way that'll get you over the long run. Markets go up and markets come back down. And typically they go back up again. Certainly no guarantees. But we have history on our side. A lot of precedents are there behind us. So we have some expectation of what the journey might be. Make sure, again, getting back to the divorcing the emotions, here is where it may be most important. Do not panic with your portfolio in times like this, particularly as you're entering into such an emotional transition into retirement, and make major changes to that portfolio. Remember, it's for the long haul. You take a snapshot of that investment, those investments, and your portfolio, it may be up or it may be down. But that should not guide you in terms of what you will do in retirement or how you should feel, because we're in it for the long run. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon. The fourth item is the overall topic of planning. And again, on this channel, we've devoted a lot of time to that. It may be the most important thing and the most important conversation you need to have. But one of the things within planning that I think is really crucial, particularly as we look at it right now, what's happening with inflation, what's happening with portfolios. As you go to plan for your retirement, I submit to you that you might want to plan for a couple of years that are bad right as you're retiring. As you retire, you feel most vulnerable. You're no longer contributing to your retirement plan. You no longer have that income that's coming in from someone else. And if the portfolio is coming down and you're expecting income from that portfolio, it may jar you a bit. So I suggest to you in your planning, and there's so many elements of planning, but just this one focus, plan for a couple of years that will be in the red, that will be down just as you retire, to deal with not only the financial impact, but the emotional impact as well. And finally, I want to get to the really big fear here is. And for many, their numbers are all set. The finances are great. And for many of them, that's not what keeps them up at night. Because beyond the fear of running out of money, The really big fear is, oh my goodness, what am I going to do the rest of my life? We just spent 40, 50, 60 hours a week for the past 30, 40 years. How am I going to fill that time? How am I going to find a purpose? How am I going to be rewarded, fulfilled? What passions am I going to pursue? And that answer is different for everyone. And for everyone, it may take a different set of time to figure that out. But that's something you should prepare for in advance, if possible, for this transition into retirement. Because it will really help you if you can fill that time with things that are really fulfilling.